Good morning. I'm Sheryl Dalman, a retired Spanish immersion teacher. Taught Spanish immersion for about 16 years here in the States and was in an English immersion school in Venezuela, Barquisimeto, Venezuela, and also taught in an English immersion school that was at the private school there in Barquisimeto, and then we also taught ESL classes from our church. Rui asked me to come today, and we can't meet obviously together, so I'm recording this with some specific questions and general ideas about my experience in immersion education. Just so you know a little of my background, I came with a Bachelor of Arts in Church Music, and after that got a Master of Arts in Teaching, which was nice. It was a little broader than just education as such. I went to Costa Rica to study Spanish for a year and then continued my Spanish learning the rest of my life, till now even. We lived 15 years in Venezuela. I taught almost a year of a pre-K English immersion class, taught ESL. Back in the States on furloughs, I would be doing substitute teaching at whichever school. We returned to the United States in 2002, and I taught 3 years in second grade and 1 year in sixth grade at Grand Rapids Southwest Community Campus. I taught 12 years in Rockford at the Spanish Immersion School, both of which I started their first year that they made the new venture into an immersion program. I was the president of the West Michigan Alliance of Immersion Educators for 5 years and retired in 2018. First, let me talk a little bit about the purpose and the function and the current format of immersion programs. The purpose is to help our students to be better global participants. A very broad purpose there. They're to be more competitive in the global and domestic markets, and also to better understand and serve the many nationalities coming to the United States. The function as an immersion program is very similar to standard U.S. English programs, classrooms. The major difference is that some to all of the content is taught in the second language, with the goal of producing bilingual students as they become adults. The current format of most of the immersion programs, really worldwide, is you have various percentages of time that are dedicated to that second language versus the first language. One program is called the 90-10, 90% in the second language, 10% in your home language. In this case, it'd be Chinese or Spanish or Arabic, and then the 10% in your language here of this country, U.S., English. The second would be like an 80-20, and then the third, which is just a little bit less of the second language or target language being taught and introduced during the school day. Then the other is the 50-50. This is being used in the state of Utah. They took it on as a program, immediately switching schools and very quickly succeeding with other schools being changed in the state to a 50-50. This is where half of the day or half of the week is English, half of the day or half of the week is the target language, whether it's Spanish or Chinese, Arabic, French. And then there's the transitional bilingual, which has the goal of teaching students who migrate to the U.S., teaching them the English language in order to become proficient in English and participate in the community and culture here. If they're starting at the first like kindergarten or first grade, the goal is by third grade to transition them out of support for their home language and into a full English classroom. In the 90-10%, it's frequently usually a bilingual teacher, and then many schools that can afford it or who were set up that way originally have a near full-time aide. Or it will switch. For example, in the Rockford schools, we had full-time aides in kindergarten, each kindergarten and first grade classroom. Second grade started a half day, third grade a half day, and then fourth and fifth had no aides. in the 80-20 and the 50-50, sometimes it's a full bilingual teacher. Sometimes there are two teachers, one that teaches the Spanish and one that teaches in the English. In the transitional bilingual, the goal is to give students enough preparation to move to an all-English classroom, preferably, like I mentioned before, by 3rd grade. Some of the schools, regardless of their format, whether it's 90-10, 80-20, have the whole school is that target language program. Others share a school where there's the standard English or traditional English classrooms, and then the other half would be the immersion program. There are pluses and minuses to both setups. My personal experience with the immersion classrooms has been that I started with 2 different schools, actually maybe 3, counting the one in Venezuela. At the time that I was there, I was tutoring the English immersion teachers, and one of the teachers who might need my tutoring, she was an American, had to leave the country due to her husband's job, and they asked me to take over, step into the kindergarten or pre-kindergarten classroom that she had, which I did and finished out that school year. The other 2 were here in Grand Rapids, Southwest Community Campus in Grand Rapids, which was a 2-way immersion program, and then Rockford Schools, Roguewood Elementary, which is a 1-way immersion program. And there, the difference being in Grand Rapids, the school had both Spanish-speaking students and families and English-speaking students and families, and both groups were learning a target language as well as maintaining their home language. The 1-way immersion generally is the students who are all, in this case, English speakers here in the United States, and then learning a target language, Spanish, in the case where I taught, could be the Chinese immersion programs or others that are available. I started with both of those schools in their first years, Grand Rapids, actually, and in Venezuela too, all 3 schools, Grand Rapids, Rockford, and Barquisimeto, Venezuela. And in that first year, 2, 3, it's a huge learning curve. One of the basic things is curriculum, being able to find the curriculum that is equal to or very parallel to the standard English curriculum that is being used in the other classrooms. We try not to have it divert too much from that because it helps those of us who are teaching in that program, helps us to stick with the standards that are set by the district, state, and also it helps parents, I feel like, to feel more comfortable realizing their kids are getting the exact same curriculum as the traditional English classrooms. Materials,